Now I think it's about time I talk about my opinions for Metroid Samus Return. Originally I wanted to talk about this game, but for the most part I felt like I should probably give it some time, let the game settle in my head so I don't have a really biased or skewed opinion. And with that being said, I played through the game at least 3 times, normal mode, hard mode, fusion mode, and I really enjoyed the game, so I thought it'd be cool to make a video talking about 5 of the things I actually really did enjoy in Metroid Samus Returns. Now keep in mind, this is all really just my opinion. If there are things on this list you don't like, or maybe there's things you like that weren't on this list, feel free to leave it in the comment section, because we all have our own opinions, and it's just so cool to see everyone's different opinions about this list. Also, please keep in mind that there might be some spoilers in this video, whether I show some footage or talk about some story elements. If you have not played the game yet and don't want to get spoiled, feel free to come back at a different time. But if you don't care about spoilers, or if you're already beating the game, feel free to stick around. That being said, let's cue up that video and roll out that intro. Now, as a person who's played Metroid Fusion, Zero Mission, and the original Metroid game on the Game Boy Advance, I really do love the 2D style of gameplay. I prefer this over the 3D Prime games. So it kinda hurts me a little bit seeing how Metroid Zero Mission, which was released in 2004, was like the last time the 2D style of gameplay has ever been explored. So with the announcement of Samus Return coming out and it being a 2D style of gameplay, I was extremely happy, going back to a style of gameplay I've been longing for the longest time. It brings me a lot of nostalgia and happiness being able to play my Metroid game in this style of gameplay. It sounds kinda corny and cheesy, but I genuinely like the gameplay and it brings me a lot of nostalgia. But not only that, with this being an actual remake, the updated visuals of this game are astonishing. I never really liked Metroid 2, The Return of Samus, because it was on the original Game Boy. You know how outdated that game is? From the visuals, clunky gameplay, outdated design, and getting this game redesigned. From Samus's new suit design to the redesigns of the Metroid to how breathtaking SR3D really is. This game visually is amazing, and the fact that it goes back to a 2D style of gameplay brings me a lot of joy, and that's one of the reasons why I love this game a lot. Now there is some debate whether a Metroidvania game should have some sort of quick travel mechanic to help get around the map quickly. On one hand, that's kind of the main premise of these Metroidvania games. You go exploring these dungeons and mazes and you get upgrades to let you backtrack and explore even further. But I'm pretty happy that this game actually added the teleportation system that, surprisingly enough, wasn't really overpowered but really useful when it came to exploring the map of the game. Now unlike other maps like Zebes or Talon 4 where each main area had multiple different elevators to different segments, Metroid Samus Returns map is kinda linear. Not saying the map is linear, but the way it's connected is linear. Area 1 is connected to Area 2, Area 2 is connected to Area 3, Area 3 is connected to Area 4, vice versa. So if you were somehow in Area 6 and you wanted to go back to Area 1 to explore, that means you had to go all the way back through each area individually to get back to Sector 1. Once you're done exploring, you gotta go all the way back to Sector 6 to continue on with the story. It's kind of annoying, and I'm really happy that they added this teleportation to help smooth things out. It's just really convenient. Also, the teleporters aren't necessarily everywhere. There's only a few teleporters in each area, so even though they might seem like it's defeating the purpose of a Metroidvania style game, teleportation is just there for you to get around the map a little bit more quickly without having to be too frustrated with all the backtracking. And also, even though I much prefer the system in Metroid Prime or in Super Metroid where there's multiple elevators connecting to multiple different locations, I feel like the teleportation system is actually a pretty cool compromise. Also, there's a little bit of a side bonus for this teleportation thing. For every device you activate for teleportation, you actually unlock a segment of the Chozo memories, and who doesn't love pictures of vague lore to help improve the story? I know I do. So I remember I made a video talking about 5 of the things I want to see in the next Metroid Prime game, and one of the things I mentioned was having Samus do some sort of melee attack or some sort of finishing move, and I feel like I got that when it comes to the counter ability of this game. Now, the counter ability actually does really no damage whatsoever. Its main purpose is just to stun enemies if they attack you, and if in certain situations you can do a cool little cinematic finishing move. But that's what really makes the counter ability so cool, and for me it actually spices up the gameplay a little bit. Now when it comes to the basic enemies, it might be kind kind of repetitive since they're basic enemies, but when it comes to the Metroids and bosses in general, the counter ability actually is a cool little mechanic. You can try playing it safe when it comes to fighting against Metroids, keep your distance, shoot from afar, and dodge everything you can, or you can try being a little risky and attempt to counter a possible attack. Now you may accidentally time it too poorly, maybe you do it too early or too late, and thus you get massive damage, and when it comes to the later Metroids like the Omega Metroid, you will get damaged. But if you time it out perfectly, you get an opportunity to do massive damage, and I feel like that's a pretty cool mechanic. High risk, high reward. Risk doing a cool counter, or don't risk it and keep yourself much more safe. Also, come on, look at that. Look at Samus grappling with a Metroid. You can't tell me that doesn't improve the experience of the gameplay. Now, even though there may not be that many unique bosses in this game, I feel like this game actually gave me one of my favorite bosses of all time. Not the favorite though, cause Phantom will always be in my heart. But the Diggernaut introduced in this game, it could easily be one of my favorite bosses of all time. Mostly because of how well it was designed, how fun the boss is, and the build up leading to the actual boss fight. First encountering the Diggernaut, Samus accidentally reactivating it and letting it do its own thing was a pretty cool touch of introducing us to this boss, and I assumed the boss fight was gonna happen at that moment, but it goes off on its own, and that's actually pretty cool, cause I know that's going to be a boss, but seeing it go on its own, I'm just left on suspense when I'm going to fight it. The second encounter with the boss fight is actually pretty cool also. Having Samus run away from this very dangerous drill, possibly shredding her in pieces. I don't think that's ever been happened in any other Metro game, you know, a running away sequence, but this sequence was really fun. And it's also pretty cool because it's kind of vague whether the Diggernaut was doing this intentionally to attack Samus, or maybe Samus just got in the way. Either way, it was a cool moment. And having in the actual battle with the Diggernaut how it was introduced with the gates opening up and it locking onto you, it's a pretty cool visual. Not to mention the boss fight itself is actually pretty cool, utilizing Samus's ability for beams as well as her morph ball. And I feel like if any boss uses the morph ball as a way of defeating the boss, it's an A+ in my book. Kinda reminds me of Quadraxis, and everyone loves Quadraxis. Also, as a side note, I kinda like the origin of this robot being created by the Chozos to help explore SR388, and it was just abandoned, and it doesn't really add anything, but I kinda like the origin a lot. Maybe it's because I'm a sucker for nice emotional moments, or maybe I'm just looking too far into it, but I really enjoyed how this game actually portrayed Samus' relationship with the baby. Now, in the original game, there wasn't really much you can really talk about, you know, 8-bit old-style Game Boy game, you couldn't really tell much of a story. Samus encounters the Metroid, doesn't kill it, and just goes off to the next game, Super Metroid. But in this game, I don't know why, the feeling of this game, the tension, the hesitation, everything seems really nice and perfect to signify that Samus herself actually cared about the baby. Throughout the whole game, you see Samus mercilessly destroy so many Metroids, and for some reason the hesitation just feels so powerful, and I do love the moment a lot. It's a really touching moment, showing us that Samus cares for the baby in a much better way than the other games like
The baby, and the baby, or the baby, of the baby, or the baby. Babies cry, but babies cry.
Other M tried to do. But that alone isn't the main reason why I love how this game portrays that relationship, because at the end of the game, when Ridley comes out of nowhere, I really did enjoy how the baby Metroid basically reacted to it. The baby Metroid's all like curious and all, you know, innocent looking, looks at the ship and goes straight for the ship out of sheer curiosity. Out of nowhere, Ridley strikes Samus immediately attacks Ridley, and the baby is basically left in the sidelines not wanting Samus to get hurt. Samus at the brink of defeat nearly gets defeated, and the baby swoops in to save Samus. It's kind of a touching moment. I was on the edge of my seat during the Ridley battle, and the scene where the baby helps Samus twice during the Ridley battle, it was really something. I really loved that scene a lot. The scene with Ridley also kind of cemented the idea that the baby Metroid actually cared for Samus as well. It's kind of hard to portray that during the second game with, you know, the limitations, and in Super Metroid it came out of left field that the baby Metroid actually cared for Samus, but with this installment it just made it a little bit more believable and a lot more heartwarming, and that's also why I kind of like it. Also, as a little side bonus, I kind of like how the baby Metroid like follows you around through elevators and teleportation sequences. It's really cute and adorable, and I really wish there was an option to like enable that as just a cool cosmetic of having the little baby follow you around. So the general gist is that I just love how the baby Metroid interacts with Samus and its inclusion in the story. I just like it a lot. But what do you guys think? Do you actually agree with my opinions about things I like about this game? Or maybe there's something you disagree about this list. Maybe you don't like the things I mentioned, or maybe there's something you like that I didn't even mention. Feel free to leave in the comment section, because I love reading guys' comments, and I do try my best to comment as much as possible. Now I know what some of you might be saying. Wow, this video is way too positive. You're just a generic fanboy who can't see the flaws of this game. Well, if for some reason if you feel that way, I actually made a video talking about 5 of the things I hate in Metroid Samus Returns. You know, because even though this may be a great game, it does have its flaws. It should be uploaded around the same time as this video, so if you want to go check it out, feel free to click on the video above. That being said, I'm the Metroid Trainer. I hope you like, favorite, and subscribe, and go check out that video, because I'll be seeing you over there.